Hello, you beautiful people! So, we got quite an extensive summary related to CASTORIC'S and her kit just now, and in today's video, I'm mainly going to go over this kit summary given by a very reliable source. Now, along with this, we'll take a look at what her possible synergies will be like, what her best team will be, and these new details also make it even more debatable whether she'll work with Sunday or not. Before we begin though, allow me to quickly mention the usual disclaimer that everything which I mention in this video is taken from different sources, and it can be changed at any point of time, so don't take any of this info too seriously. With that being said, let's begin without wasting any more of your time or energy. Alright, so starting with the basic kit overview, I have a feeling that a lot of you guys will like this kit quite a lot because from what I'm seeing, it looks like CASTORIC'S can pretty much do everything. Having main DPS attributes with her massive AoE and blast damage, supportive capabilities with her giving the entire team some buffs, and might even be able to have multiple use cases, like being a support to help out mydei and all that. Honestly, her kit reminds me a lot of Mavwika from Genshin, because in a way, CASTORIC'S just kind of does it all. Now, the first piece of the new information perfectly reflects this as according to the source, CASTORIC'S gives a 24% all-type resistance penetration to the entire team whenever she is on the field. Honestly, I always kind of expected her to have some sort of resistance penetration built in her kit as Acheron also has it, but giving a 24% resistance penetration buff to the entire team is kind of crazy. I mean, this is quite literally a 5-star support level of a buff, and she just does it for free. Also, as I mentioned before, even though this buff is extremely good for her, it also supports the team as well, encouraging everyone to contribute a little to the overall damage. Moving on, the next part of the summary says that on top of having this massive 24% resistance penetration, CASTORIC'S also provides an independent and an unconditional buff to the entire team. Basically, this further shows how great she might be for increasing the entire team's damage, as considering how many buffs she gives the team for virtually nothing, she almost feels like a harmony unit somewhat like Tribi, but only if she did 100 times more damage that she currently does. Just want to say though, don't think that all of her buffs are just for the team, as this source states that she does have a strong self-damage boosting buff for herself only, which will be really nice for her own personal damage. Now, just a few seconds ago, I mentioned that she buffs the team for virtually nothing for a reason, as she does have one drawback that we are all familiar with, which is that whenever CASTORIC'S attacks an enemy, she burns a decent chunk of HP from your entire team, and using this drained HP, she enhances her own and her Memosprite's damage by a pretty good amount. This is genuinely very interesting to me as I realized that because of this part in her kit, she may have extra synergy with Remembrance characters as Memosprites are basically like having another HP pool to drain from. Which would explain why Hyacinth will most likely be her best in slot support when she releases in patch 3.3. The HP drain of CASTORIC'S isn't all that bad though, as we know that she has a team-wide revive in her kit, which is super nice for keeping your team alive even if you make mistakes with managing your team's HP when CASTORIC'S drains it. Moving on, I want to mention that her HP drain does have another use though, as besides enhancing her own abilities, this source tells us that she doesn't have a traditional way of gaining energy and she has a somewhat different mechanic to activate her ultimate. Okay, I've seen a lot of people get confused by this point, so let me just clarify that according to the source, CASTORIC'S not gaining energy in a traditional way does not mean that she has a different type of ultimate similar to Acheron or Fei Xiao. And it could just mean that she gains energy through unconventional ways, something similar to how the Herta gains 3 energy whenever any enemy on the field gets attacked by her allies. Anyways, we already know this certain unconventional way that she uses to get her energy back, and it's obviously related to the second point that I just mentioned. Yep, CASTORIC'S gains energy, depending on the amount of HP that she burns from your entire team. Now, as I mentioned before, either characters with high HP pools like mydei or Tribi work best for her HP drain mechanic, but characters with Memosprites will most likely be the next best option after them. Also, I want you to keep in mind that she may gain energy through other character abilities as well, like Sunday's ultimate or Huo's ultimate, so those two are also somewhat synergistic with her. Lastly, we actually did get some information on her abilities themselves too, as it was stated that CASTORIC'S has an enhanced skill and joint attacks. I mean, I totally expect her joint attacks to be similar to Aglaya's joint attacks with her Memosprite. And just imagine CASTORIC'S and her dragon teaming up to deal massive amounts of damage to everyone on the field, and this attack will most likely deal damage in an AoE radius, which is really nice. Anyways, with that, we're totally done discussing all the topics that I mentioned at the start of the video. Honestly, I know this kit overview of her sounds kind of broken as she literally does everything, but this info did come from a very reliable source, so the chances of it being correct are quite high. I want to ask though, how do you guys feel about her kit? Because as always, I really like to know your opinion on these types of things. With that being said, I just want to say that I really love y'all and I will see you in another one.